Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about introverts. And this is going to be the first video in a series that I want to make just related to introverts and how they can be entrepreneurs, how you can develop in the business environment and things you can do to overcome that shyness or overcome that quietness that we all have inside. And this came out to me after I read this book called Quiet from Susan Cain. This book opened up my eyes on how me myself am an introvert and how I have this superpower that other people don't have and how I can use that to my advantage in the business side and on my personal side of life. So what I'm gonna do in this series of videos is show you different tactics on how you can leverage your introvertness to be successful in business, to be successful as an entrepreneur, and to be successful in different areas of your life. In this video specifically, we're going to talk about having productive meetings in the workplace, how you can leverage all tools to be successful in conducting meetings. For me, specifically, having meetings is just an overwhelming task. And when I say that, I mean having a meeting for me is a very big thing. Usually I'm a very shy person, even though I'm making all these videos. And I'm using right now one of those tools to be able to be good in the camera, to relax myself and be able to talk about these things with you guys, that I'm pretty sure this will help you out. But for me, meetings are a big thing. I dreaded going to meetings after I had this list of tools now that I can use and to make those meetings productive and to be able to get my points across and to be able to get the goals that I want from those meetings. So the first tip that I want to share with you for conducting productive meetings as an introvert is prepare yourself for the meeting. And when I say prepare yourself, have an idea of what we're going to talk about in these meetings, what you're looking for, what are your personal goals with that meetings, and lay that out and see how you're going to get that point across. Also prepare for what we're going to talk about in that meeting. Have ideas of what's probably the topic and what other people are looking for in that meeting. If you prepare yourself in advance, then you can probably have some answers ready when some of those questions start coming up. And then you can have some answers or some questions of your own, so then you can get your points across. So that's the first thing that I would recommend. Be prepared for that meeting. The second tip that I would recommend is that you take breaks between meetings. And this is one of the biggest things, of the biggest tools that I've learned from the Quiet book from Susan Cain. And she says, you know what, we as introverts, we get very overwhelmed and we get very drained when we are in front of people. Because we are introverts, we strive on quietness, we strive when we are alone by ourselves. But when we are in front of people, we are forced to change our mindset to be able to communicate what we want and be able to have a conversation with other people. We can do that. That's totally fine. Introverts can be very conversational people, but the only thing that happens is that we get drained after that, because our energy doesn't come from talking to people. Our energy comes from being alone. Like the opposite of extroverts. Extroverts get their energy when they talk to people, and they get drained when they're alone. But when we are in front of people and talking, then, and like I said, we get drained. One thing that I do after I have a meeting is to take a break. And I just get off my desk, try to go for a walk, do something, maybe play a game in my bar, or maybe just read a book. That works a lot, look very good for me, or take a walk. I usually, in the past, used to take walks after meetings. That helps me out with the drainage and to replete my energy before I go maybe to another meeting. Some days I have my days packed with meetings. 5 meetings, 6 meetings, one after the other. I run a business, so I have meetings with customers, sales meetings, team meetings, and one-on-ones. So I have all multiple type of meetings. When those days are very packed, I know that I'm gonna need to have multiple breaks within meetings because I'm gonna get drained. This helps out a lot. Take those breaks between meetings and it will help you out to recover your energy as an introvert and be prepared for the next one. The third tip that I would recommend is that you practice active listening. And active listening means try to listen what other people are saying and how that involves you and how you can help out, or if it doesn't involve you at all. Try to make notes so you don't remember. Remember, our brains are constantly working all the time. Sometimes we might drift because, again, we are not very used to interact with people. So take notes of what you're doing. I use Obsidian as my note-taking tool for all my notes. You can also use OneNote. It's totally good too. but I put all my notes in there for all my meetings, and then I can go back to them. But I usually try to listen what the person is saying, and so I can figure out in my brain how I'm gonna help that person or how we're gonna solve that issue. Having a listening, even though you might be quiet at that point in time, but it's just that you're listening and trying to your brain to come up with ideas and maybe to try to solve that problem. That helps out when you are in that process of figuring out probably solutions to a problem. First tip I would recommend is that you leverage your skills. We as introverts are very good at analyzing situations. We are very good at leveraging potential solutions. We are very good at going deep at a problem and finding root causes. So leverage those skills, and you can do it in the meeting. When you're doing the active listening, in our brains, we are working through solutions. We are analyzing what is the problem. So leverage that and propose those solutions and propose those different avenues of maybe solving a problem, because that will help out everyone in the meeting, and that will help out yourself in participating and maybe within everyone coming up with a solution. But remember, we are as introverts have special skills. We have special superpowers. Use them. Being analytical, going deep into problems. Use that in the meeting. Use that in the workplace. That will help you out also with the skills that you have. Fifth tip is to be concise when you are making a point. When you want to get your point across, just try to be direct with what you're looking for or what your goal is or what your proposal is. Most people just want to hear what you're thinking about. And then around that, you can ask questions so other people can understand. If anyone has questions, then you can answer them. But don't try to go or pepper things around before you get to what you're looking for. Just be direct. And I know this is hard for us again because we're not used to talk to people directly, but this is something that I practice a lot myself. And I try when I'm talking to a customer or when I get my point across, I just say directly what I'm looking for. I'm going directly to what they need, and I'm going directly to how you can solve them. And from there, when I get that point across, then I listen to what they have to say. I listen to what the customer is responding to what I've said to see if they understood what I'm saying. Because if they didn't understand, then I can clarify more on or make the idea simpler, so then I can get the point across. Remember, I'm practicing my analytical skills and my deep thinking. I get the solution done, then I get that across right away. Then I practice active listening right away to see if my idea is getting across or if it's making its way. Because sometimes we might be very high in what the other person is at that point. So then our idea might not be catch right away by that person. So we might need to calm down a little bit to express that idea in a better way so that person can understand what we're saying. Just keep that in mind. You're leveraging all of those introvert skills at the same time. The other tip is that you seek clarification, okay? Don't stay quiet or don't stay alone in that place where you didn't understand something, that something was said, and then you stay like that because you're afraid of coming up or talking to that person in the meeting. So something that I usually do when those situations happen is that I say, can you say that again? I didn't understand what you were looking for. Sometimes when I'm in a meeting with a customer, they might explain a specific process on how they do things. And for them, it's very easy to explain the process because they are doing it every day. But for me, it's completely foreign. I don't know what they're talking about. And I don't understand the process. So I usually just go back to them and say, okay, I hear what you're saying. Can we maybe break down that process a little bit for me so I can understand better? That's totally fine. Like people are very happy to explain their ideas. People are very happy to explain how they do things or what they are proposing because they are advocates of what they are proposing. So you asking questions means that you're interested in what they are doing and what they are expressing. So it's actually a win-win situation. So just don't stay quiet, ask questions. Some things that I used to feel is that when I ask questions, I felt like I was not being very good at listening, or I was going to be portrayed like I don't understand things. So those thoughts have nothing to do in a meeting, has nothing to do in the workplace, because it is okay not to understand things. You are in the meeting for that purpose, to interact, hear what people are saying, and to ask questions. That's what you're there for, okay? So go ahead and ask those questions. It helps out a lot. Finally, reflect and evaluate, okay? So after you go out of the meeting, reflect on the points that were talked about. Is there anything that you can add after the meeting so it can be better? Evaluate how did it go. Is there anything that you can improve upon the next time? So in my meetings right now, I'm very used to the format of the meeting. Now I know usually how a meeting will go because I have reflect in the past and I know what are the possible outcomes that I might have in a meeting. That's part of my preparedness. And because I know some of the possible outcomes, that means that I was able to reflect in previous meetings and I was able to come up with a specific things that always come up in a meeting. So I have a specific answers that I can use in that place. So those are one of the things that you can do. Evaluate if there is a situation that didn't go well and how you can improve it the next time. So let's go with a specific example here. So sometimes some of the customers might ask about something of the software that we sell that I don't know. For example, let's say one of our products, License Spot, allows licensing for software. So you might come up with a question saying, hey, can I license this specific app? I don't know if you can because I've never tried it. In the past, I might come up a little bit nervous because I don't know the answer. Right now, I evaluate and I don't get nervous anymore. I just say, hey, I don't have the answer to that question right now. I'm gonna take it with me and I'm gonna respond back to you when I get that answer. Very simple answer. And it takes away from the spot that question and it takes me away from the spot. And then I can come back later with a better answer in that specific place. But those are the things that I evaluate and I improve upon. So when I go back to my meetings, I am now a little bit stronger and I know what I'm doing. So that's it. And like I said, please be sure to subscribe so you get more videos around introverts and how you can manage that in the business and entrepreneurship and other places in business. Okay. And thank you for staying until the end and goodbye.